Hello again, welcome back to Ylva the Red's YouTube channel. Today what we're doing is called Naalbinding, Nalbinding or similar, depending on what country you're from and how each country pronounces it. It's come across a number of Scandinavian countries historically. It's making a bit of a comeback lately, which is really, really awesome. But what I'm going to do for you today is the start of Nalbinding. As I've experienced across many of the stitches, it's a very similar start for all of them. And just about all of them, I started with a slip knot. Now, slip knot's a fairly common one. Here we go, simple as that. I'll do that one more time for those who didn't see what I'm doing. Create a loop and just pull the loop through that as well. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to pop that on my thumb. Alright, I'm going to grasp that tail in my non-dominant hand, and I've loaded up. This is my bone needle that was made for me. I've loaded this one with as much thread as is comfortable for me. Now, for me, that's a fair amount of yarn. I'm comfortable with that. You will discover how much is comfortable for you as you practice this. I would suggest no more than about a meter length while you're getting used to it, while you're practicing doing the first part. But as you get used to it, I'm sure you'll be able to manage slightly more and more yarn. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is all I'm going to do is wrap this thread around my thumb. So now you can see I've got two pieces of yarn sitting over my thumb, and I'm going to pass my needle underneath both of them. Alright, on the side of the tail closest to me, and I'm going to pull it towards myself. There we go. So those loops are now nice and tight. Beautiful. Alright. I'm going to do that again. Beautiful. So now I've got 3 on there. I push the 1 and 2 off. Now some people will tell you to start with to push 1 off, so you've only got 1 band on there and all that sort of stuff. I do first 3, just so I've got even tension between them all. And now I'm going to ignore that first one, push it to the back. I'm going to go 1 and 2. And I'm just going to make sure that I go underneath this working thread here, because that is going to create my next loop, just like that. Very straightforward. So I've still got 2 on here. I'm going to push 1 off. So now I've got 3 little bits of thread at the back. I need to go through. I've already been through that one. I'm going to go through these 2 here. And I've created 2 again. Push the top one off. Get back down. Got to make sure that I keep the one that's supposed to be on the bottom towards the bottom. We'll get all confused otherwise. And the old loop comes off, and we go back down through. And we're just going to keep doing this. Now, as you can see, my chain that creates is very loose. If you're using a chunky yarn, something like a 12 ply or a doubled up 8 ply, that's less of an issue. What I'm about to show you, I'm going to start moving this off the thumb. And what I can do by doing that is by creating, thereby creating a different tension. Alright, so if I get all my chain out of the way, so that's my tail end, I'm pulling that taut and putting it in the back there. I'm taking this loop and I'm going to pinch it just here where it joins with the previous loop. I'm just going to pull on my working end slightly. So I've still got a loop. I'm not pulling it tight, not pulling it very tight at all. All right, so off the thumb. Now I'm going to pick up one old and the new loop, push it through, and I'm just pinching that there, making sure that I don't lose my old loop while I create a new loop. Alright, so now you can see I've got two loops, really small, next to each other. Alright, so that's my old loop, my new loop. I'm going to go through one of each, old and new. And now I've got three really small loops. The new one, the old one, I need to go in there. Four small loops. So you can see the difference between the tensions there. Really huge tensions here, or really small ones. So for the kind of yarn I'm using, this smaller tension is far more practical for creating a garment, whether it's socks or mittens or a hat. You really don't want very large holes in your piece, primarily because it's not going to keep you very warm. Now, with the different threads you can use, I'm using just a cotton here. This is a cotton yarn that I picked up from a lovely little place in Coburg called the Yarn Barn. If you're a Melbourne local, I really suggest you check it out. It's a lovely little shop. Such a good range in there. There's some really unique colours and marl threads as well in there. Really lovely. Can't recommend it enough. Alright, so I'm just going to show you that little chain that I've been doing. Much smaller in tension. And so for me, this is a far easier method of doing it because I can get such nice tension. I don't want to go so tight, of course, that I can't get my needle through for the second row. That would defeat the purpose. So I do need to leave myself a little bit of wiggle room. So if you are using a super fine yarn, something finer even than this, make sure you do leave enough room that you can pass your needle through there another time. And by the way, you don't need a bone needle to do this. It's just something that I have because I'm part of some living history groups, and it would have been one of the materials they made these needles out of. You can use common tapestry needles, which you can get at basically any craft store that holds fibres, like wools and all that sort of stuff. You can get specially made Nalbinding needles online. You can make your own, absolutely. This needle was actually made for me by my partner. Alrighty, so there we have it. The first part of Nalbinding. Easy peasy.